blind woman discovered an incredible secret, Millionaire changed forever after touching encounter. In a small Midwestern town, the air was rich with the smell of freshly baked bread, wafting through the open doorway of Clara's charming bakery. People gathered, drawn in by the warmth, the chatter, and the soft sounds of laughter. Clara, a blind woman in her 30s, poured her heart into every loaf, every pastry, and every smile she shared. Her bakery wasn't just a business, it was a sanctuary, a place where families, veterans, and children found comfort from their daily struggles. Clara had learned to embrace life's simple joys, strengthened by the unwavering support of her loved ones and the community that rallied around her. Here, in her haven, hope and resilience blended into every bite. But everything shifted when Tom walked in, a successful businessman marred by a dark scandal that had forced him to return to his roots. Disillusioned and numbed by his fall from grace, Tom initially recoiled at the cheerful chaos. The mingling scents of cinnamon rolls and coffee clashed violently with his bitter memories. But as he brushed against Clara, he felt something unexpected, a flicker of warmth in a world that felt cold. "May I help you?" Clara's gentle voice pulled him out of his spiral. He was struck by her kindness and her effortless presence. With no judgment in her tone, she took his order and offered him a cup of coffee, no strings attached. It was in that simple interaction, where she sensed his pain, that something in him began to shift. As days turned into weeks, Tom found himself returning, not out of obligation, but drawn to the honest strength that seemed to radiate from Clara. She embodied the spirit of a community that never turned its back on one another. In her laughter, he found solace. In their late-night conversations filled with shared dreams and bittersweet stories, he discovered pieces of himself he thought were lost. But as he immersed himself in Clara's world, a dark cloud loomed over her bakery. The economy shifted, and whispers of a large corporation threatening local businesses grew louder. Clara's dedication, her family's legacy, everything she treasured was on the line. Every night, she wrestled with worry, her thoughts racing. What would happen to the smiling faces, the people who found comfort in her baked goods, if the bakery closed its doors? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Determined to protect her legacy, Clara confided in Tom, sharing her fears. His heart raced as realization hit him. This was more than just a bakery, it was the heartbeat of the town. As their bond deepened, Tom wrestled with his privileged past and the inequities he ignored. Standing shoulder to shoulder with Clara, he felt an urge to fight back, to reclaim something far more valuable than the corporate profits they threatened. But as plans began to take shape, Clara reached for his hand, sensing the weight of his decision. "Together, we can change this," she said, her voice steady. Tom hesitated, caught between the allure of comfort and the sound of hope. As the community prepared to rise up, he stood at a crossroads. Would he take a leap for something that felt right, or retreat into the shadows? The tension hung thick in the air, leaving readers eager to discover if courage could blossom in the face of adversity, and what lay ahead for Clara and Tom's unlikely alliance. The next morning, the sun peeked through the window of Clara's bakery, casting soft golden rays over the countertop. The familiar scents of vanilla and bread enveloped the shop, wrapping around Clara like a warm embrace. She felt energized, her heart swelling with determination. Today wasn't just another day, it was the beginning of their fight. Tom arrived just as Clara was rolling out dough for her beloved pastries. The sound of the doorbell chimed, and she smiled, sensing his approach. "You're just in time," she said, the familiarity of her voice lending an air of comfort to them both. "Good morning," he replied, the words spilling out with enthusiasm. "What are we making today?" "Cinnamon rolls," Clara said with a mischievous tone. "The secret is in the frosting, but I can't share that until we've saved the bakery. Tom chuckled, her playfulness igniting a spark of hope within him. I'm ready for action. What can I do? As Clara outlined her plans, the weight of their challenge began to settle on their shoulders. They would organize a community meeting at the town hall to rally support against the corporation threatening their beloved bakery. Tom couldn't help but feel a swell of pride in being part of something bigger, something that mattered. Their day together unfolded like a well-practiced routine, filled with laughter and hard work. They baked together, shared stories, and created posters advertising the meeting, each shared moment fortifying their bond. The bakery filled with warmth not just from the ovens but from the joy that bubbled up between them. As dusk fell, Clara leaned against the counter, her eyes closed, listening to the calming sound of the mixing bowl as Tom whipped up a new batch of cookie dough. Do you ever think about what you want? She asked suddenly, breaking the comfortable silence. What do you mean? He replied, curious. Your dreams, your life. Before everything. Clara's voice was soft yet penetrating. Tom hesitated, the ghosts of his past swirling around him. Honestly? I don't know anymore. I always thought success was about wealth and status, but it just feels empty. He took a deep breath, the truth about his discontent spilling out like the dough they had just kneaded. But being here with you, seeing how your bakery affects people, it's made me rethink everything. Clara smiled, a gentle yet powerful affirmation. You're just beginning to see your worth. It's never too late to find your true self. Suddenly, a loud knock interrupted their conversation. Startled, they turned to see two men outside the bakery, dressed in slick suits. The town's corporate adversaries had arrived earlier than expected. Tom's heartbeat quickened. Clara, stay inside. I'll handle this. But Clara shook her head. She couldn't let fear take over, not now. Together, they stepped outside to face the looming threat, the sweet scent of cinnamon still hanging softly in the air. Can we help you? Clara asked, her voice steady yet firm. One of the men smirked, arrogance radiating from him. Heard you're stirring up trouble, lady. This place is going to be ours soon enough. Tom felt Clara's grip on his hand tighten, her courage grounding him. Driven by an instinct to protect what they loved, he stepped closer, a fire igniting within him. You'll have to go through us first, he declared, his voice strong. What happened next would determine their fate, testing the strength of their resolve and the bonds of their unlikely friendship. As they prepared to stand tall against the tide of corporate greed, Clara's heart raced with uncertainty, yet hope flickered like the last light of day. Would they be able to hold on to what truly mattered, or was this the beginning of a deeper challenge? Their words hung in the air, charged with tension. The two men in suits exchanged glances, and for a moment, it felt like the world had narrowed down to just the four of them. Clara's heart beat wildly in her chest, her mind racing through all the possibilities. Could this really be happening? Listen, said the taller of the two, straightening his posture, we have no interest in playing games. This bakery is a relic, and it's time to turn this into something profitable. You're holding on to a dream, but dreams don't pay the bills. Maybe they don't, Tom said, his voice unwavering. But they create community. This place sparks joy, and that's worth a lot more than your money. Clara could see a flicker of irritation cross the men's faces. They clearly underestimated her and Tom. She felt a surge of conviction. You may see a building and a business, but we see love, support, and history. The people of this town care for this bakery and everyone who walks through these doors. You can't put a price on that. The man with the arrogant smirk feigned amusement, cute speech, but talk won't save you. The town will be in our hands by next week. You're fighting a losing battle. Clara's breath hitched at the realization of the threat looming over her dream. But instead of crumbling, she felt the fire of determination ignite within her. This bakery wasn't just her livelihood, it was a piece of her heart. You're wrong, she replied, feeling the pull of resolve settle in her bones. They'll fight for us, just like we're fighting for them. Tom glanced at her, surprised and inspired. We'll show the town what this place means to them. His words came out with fresh energy. Well, good luck with that, said the shorter man with an insincere smile. But you won't change our plans. With a dismissive wave, the two men turned on their heels and began to walk away, saying, we'll be seeing you soon. As the door swung shut behind them, Clara turned to Tom, and they shared a look of fire and fear. They both knew this was only the beginning of their fight. But she felt a swell of gratitude towards him, the man by her side. Thank you for standing up for us, she whispered, her voice shaky yet full of meaning. Of course, Tom replied without hesitation. But we have to gather our strength. We need to show everyone what this bakery means to all of us. The meeting tomorrow is just the start. Clara nodded, determination flooding back into her veins. They spent the night preparing, fueled by the fears of losing what they loved. Clara felt a range of emotions, from fear to hope, but one thing was clear, they weren't going down without a fight. Later that evening, as Clara looked out at the flickering street lights, it dawned on her that this wasn't just a bakery. It was a symbol. It was community, resilience, and love all woven together with flour and sugar. They would gather their supporters, bring love to the forefront, and showcase the heart of their town. What they didn't realize was that the battle was only just beginning. Tomorrow, their world would change forever. As Clara prepared for the meeting, a familiar face crossed her mind, a face from her past, someone who held the key to her dreams. Would they come back at just the right moment to help them? Or would their absence mark the end of everything they fought for? As dawn broke, Clara's phone buzzed, and she jolted awake, remnants of the night's conversation swirling in her mind. Today was the day everything could change. She quickly dressed and headed to the bakery, the warm aroma of bread already filling the air. It felt like a fight, each loaf a symbol of what they were up against. Tom arrived shortly after, eyes bright with determination. We've got to set up this space, he said, tapping his fingers against the counter. Clara watched as he started placing chairs and rearranging tables, his energy contagious. How do we even begin to rally people? Clara asked, biting her lip in worry. What if they don't care? Trust me, he said, lifting her chin gently. They'll show up. We just need to remind them of what this place means. As the morning unfolded, familiar faces began trickling in. Ms. Mayfield, the elderly lady with a passion for cinnamon rolls, walked in, her kind smile brightening the room. I heard there's gonna be a meeting, she exclaimed, already buzzing with excitement. I wouldn't miss it for the world. With that first voice of support, more patrons gathered. As the bakery began to fill, Clara felt a sense of warmth. Each person brought a piece of the community fabric, a patch of love, spirit, and history. Clara took a deep breath, her resolve solidified with every handshake and hug. Tom climbed onto a chair, and Clara stood beside him. Everyone, he called out, taking control of the room. I know we're all busy and life moves fast, but right now, we need you. The bakery is at risk, but it's more than just a business. It's our home. The room hummed with murmurs of agreement. Clara felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes as she looked out at the faces she recognized. They were not just customers, they were family. And what we need from you is your stories, she said, her voice steady as she stepped forward. We want to hear how this bakery has touched your lives. We need to share that love with the town officials too. We want them to know what they're trying to take from us. Then Clara took a step back, feeling exposed yet empowered. There was silence, but it was the silence before the storm. Moments later, Ms. Mayfield spoke up, her voice quivering yet strong. This bakery. It saved me when I lost my husband. The warmth and love here made me feel whole again. Others began to share their stories of first dates, birthdays, and friends lost and found. As each story filled the room, Clara's heart swelled with pride and unity. They were more than a bakery, they were a community knitted together with memories and resilience. By the time they wrapped up, Clara could see the fire ignited in their eyes. "Let us prepare for the meeting," Tom shouted. This was the show of strength they needed. Just before they ended, Clara felt a shadow passing over the doorway. She turned her head to see a figure standing there, and her breath caught. It was someone she recognized, someone from her past she never thought she'd see again. Her heart thudded heavily as uncertainty filled her mind. Would this person help them, or would their presence complicate everything? The meeting wasn't just a battle, it was going to challenge all her ideas of support, trust, and community. What would they bring to the table next? Clara took a step backward, her eyes widening. She squinted, trying to make sense of the silhouette. It was a face she hadn't seen in years, a face that had once filled her days with laughter. Jason. The boy who had left town chasing dreams, the boy who had broken her heart. "Clara?" He called softly, the warmth of his voice filling the bakery like the smell of freshly baked bread. "Jason?" The name slipped from her lips, a whisper between disbelief and hope. Everything crashed in around her. The laughter, the memories, the sudden rush of old feelings brought her to a standstill. Tom noticed her hesitation and jumped down from the chair. "You okay?" he asked, sensing the tension weaving through the air. As Clara stood there, the weight of years and choices settled on her shoulders. She forced herself to shake it off. This was not about her past, but her present and the bakery's future. Yet, an unwelcome chill ran down her spine. In that moment, a conflict surged within her. "Why are you here?" Clara finally managed, her voice steadying. "I heard about what's happening," Jason replied, stepping further into the warm bakery, his brows furrowing in concern. "I wanted to help." Clara felt confusion wash over her. Help? The town had seen little of him since he left to chase ambitions in the city. What could he do now? She couldn't dwell on that, not now when the community was rallying around a shared purpose. "Do you know these people?" She gestured to the crowd, her voice sharp and edged with protectiveness. "Do you realize what this place means to us?" "I do." His voice softened. "I used to come here all the time. I remember how it felt to be part of this community, to be part of the love in this room." There was something genuine in Jason's eyes that made her pause. But the anger and hurt of past years screamed to be heard. "If you're here for some other reason, no. I came back for you, for this." He pointed toward the gathering crowd, filled with kindness and connection. "I want to help save the bakery." Somewhere in the crowd, Ms. Mayfield stepped forward. "We're all here for the same reason, dear. It's about love and support. Maybe he can help." Clara turned to the elder woman, seeing the growth of hope in her eyes. That glimmer sparked a small flame in her heart, but doubt flickered right after. "Let us give him a chance," Tom chimed in, ever the optimist. "We can never have too many hands when it comes to fighting for what we love." With a deep breath, Clara mentally sorted through her tangled feelings. She had to focus. Their battle was real, and Jason might just be the unexpected ally they needed. "Fine," she said at last, though her heart raced. "But we have to work together, no secrets." Jason nodded, earnest determination written all over his face. As they got ready to lay out plans for the meeting, Clara felt a swell of emotion, a mix of uncertainty and cautious optimism. Maybe this unexpected reunion wouldn't be the distraction she feared. The loud chatter filled the room again, and as they dove into organizing their voices, Clara couldn't shake a lingering thought. If Jason was back, what other secrets were buried in their small town? More eyes would be watching, and even a hint of doubt could unravel the community's fragile bond. Would they all stand together strong, or would cracks begin to show? The fight for the bakery might just open a door to more than she had bargained for. Clara's heart pounded in her chest as the meeting progressed, every tick of the clock amplifying her uncertainty. She sat at a table surrounded by familiar faces, but her thoughts drifted to Jason. He leaned forward with unwavering focus, suggesting ideas, listening intently as the residents shared their memories of the bakery. Each smile exchanged seemed like a small victory against the storm looming over their dreams. "I say we start by revamping the menu," Jason proposed, his voice a buoy in the sea of worry. "Bring back some of the old favorites and introduce seasonal specials. We can create a community favorites night. Let us get people excited again." Clara watched the spark ignite in others' eyes as they nodded, their energies connecting in a way so familiar it dazzled her. Yet, doubt clawed back at her. Did they truly need him? "Maybe we can host a fundraiser," Clara suggested, feeling the weight of the moment. "Back when we started, people flocked here for the food but stayed for the heart of the place." Ms. Mayfield chimed in, "Oh, I love that. We can invite everyone, old friends, family, even those who moved away. They'll come back for a taste of nostalgia." The plans gradually formed and took flight, their spirits lifting with each brainstorming session. Yet, as Clara engaged with the others, she noticed Jason's gaze lingered on her more than it should. Memories invaded her thoughts, each a brushstroke painting the man she once adored. Could they really be allies now, or was this a prelude to more hurt? As the afternoon sun poured through the bakery windows, casting golden light across the tables, Clara felt a soft nudge at her side. It was Tom, his eyes shining with delight. "Look at us, Clara. We're doing it!" he exclaimed, pride pouring from his words. "Yeah," she replied, forcing a smile, but her insides twisted. "We're trying. Trying isn't good enough," Jason piped up as he caught her eye, giving her a reassuring smile she couldn't quite interpret. "We need commitment, passion, whatever it takes to honor this place." With a flicker of annoyance, Clara deflected, "You've had your chance to chase dreams elsewhere, Jason. Don't come in here as if you know what we need." Everyone went silent, and Clara instantly regretted her sharp tones. But Jason didn't flinch. "You're right. I let myself get lost in my ambitions. But I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere without giving this my all. Just like you." The raw honesty in his words made her heart race again. "Okay," Clara sighed, finally feeling their resolve sink in a single, hopeful current. "Let us give this everything we have." As they wrapped up their meeting, excitement crackling in the air, Clara's earlier fears resurfaced. Each step they took forward felt laden with what-ifs. Through the laughter and plans filled with life, doubt lingered beneath the surface. Could they truly resurrect the spirit of the bakery? With Jason now part of their journey, she couldn't help but wonder what ripple effects his return might bring, not just for the bakery, but for her, too. That evening, as Clara swept the floor alone, she caught sight of a shadow through the glass door. She turned, finding Jason outside, his silhouette outlined against the fading sunset. What was he doing there? When he caught her gaze, that familiar spark flickered once more. "Can we talk?" he asked, and an unexpected warmth surged within her. What lay ahead looked uncertain, but Clara felt something shift in the air. She hesitated on the threshold, mouth dry. This was not just about the bakery anymore. "Sure," she said softly, resisting the urge to flee. What would this conversation reveal? Was there more to his return than simply helping? The door swung slowly open, and Clara stepped toward Jason, ready to discover not only the future of the bakery but the truth behind his unexpected reappearance in her life. Clara stepped outside into the crisp evening air, the scent of baked goods still lingering around her. The sun dipped below the horizon, orange and purple blending in a painting that marked the end of another long day. She took in Jason's familiar figure. It was odd how a few moments of silence could brim with so much weight. "What's on your mind?" Clara asked, trying to keep her tone steady, even as her heart fluttered. It felt like old times, just the two of them, lost in conversation. But this was different. They weren't the same people anymore. I wanted to talk about the bakery, he began, the simplicity of his words sending a shiver down her spine. And about us. Clara raised her eyebrows, the hint of a challenge sparking in her eyes. Us? You've got to be kidding. This isn't about us. We're here to save a place we both care about. That's it. He stepped closer, the weight of his presence breaking some of her guardedness. You think I came back just for the bakery? He asked, with an intensity that caught her off guard. I came back for you, Clara. Her breath hitched. For me. The words tumbled out, laden with disbelief and confusion. Yes. I know I messed up in the past. I made choices I regret. But I'm not that guy anymore. I've been thinking about what we could have if we gave this another shot. Clara's heart raced, torn between hope and the familiar dread of old wounds. You think things can just go back to normal? That you can just stroll in and make everything right? No, not normal, he replied quickly, frustration edging his voice. But something real. Something better. Clara felt the panic rise within her. What was she supposed to say? Better? She echoed, the word a bitter reminder that once upon a time they had the world at their feet. Nothing can undo what happened between us, Jason. It's not that simple. Maybe it can't undo it, he conceded, his gaze unwavering. But we could learn from our mistakes. Those memories don't have to define us. We can build something new, together. A part of her wanted to believe him. The memories of their laughter, the late-night talks, and the dreams they once shared flooded back. But there was also the crushing weight of their history. Why now? She whispered, her voice shaky. Why after all this time? I didn't realize what I was missing until I came back here, he admitted. Every corner of this place reminds me of what I threw away. Of you. He ran a hand through his hair, looking vulnerable, almost boyish. I've seen what life feels like without you, Clara. And it feels empty. The moment hung in the air, heavy and electric. Clara could see his sincerity, it clawed at her heart. Yet, the walls she built around herself felt safe. I care about the bakery. I care about what we're building here, Clara said, her tone firm yet soft. But I can't just flip a switch. Trust doesn't come easy. I know, he replied, his voice gentle. But I'm willing to put in the work. I'll help with the bakery, help with all of this. He gestured toward the bakery, and then back at her. And I hope I can work my way back into your life, piece by piece. Clara turned her gaze away, watching the fading light. It felt wrong to pull back, to keep shutting him out. Yet, it felt even more terrifying to let him in. They stood in silence, the world buzzing around them, but all Clara could hear was the thumping of her heart. She felt trapped between the past and a future that was uncertain. Let's start with the bakery first, she said at last, her voice barely above a whisper. Let's see where this goes. Jason's face lit up with a warmth that melted some of her reluctance. That's all I'm asking for, he said, and in his eyes, she saw a glimmer of hope that made her want to believe. But even as they stood there, stepping into the unknown, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a much larger mystery to unfold. Just then, her phone buzzed, breaking the moment. A message flashed across the screen, one that would challenge everything she thought she knew. Clara, we need to talk about what's been happening in the bakery. There's something you don't understand. She looked back up at Jason, her heart racing again, this time with a different kind of urgency. What was happening behind the scenes? What other secrets were waiting to be uncovered? Clara felt a rush of anxiety as she read the message, her fingers trembling slightly on the screen. The familiar comfort of Jason's presence started to slip away, replaced by a nagging feeling of dread. She glanced up at him, searching for his reaction, but all she saw was concern etched on his face. What is it? He asked, his voice low, his eyes narrowing in on her. It's a message about the bakery, she said, her heart thumping. Someone wants to talk. They say there's something I don't understand. Jason's brows furrowed further. What could it be? I don't know, it might have to do with all the trouble we've been having. Her breathing quickened, anxiety gripping her. The struggle to save the bakery suddenly felt overshadowed by something far more complex. What if it's about our past? Or something that could really change things here? He stepped even closer, his intensity now a reassuring force. Whatever it is, we'll face it. Together. As she stared into his eyes, they silently promised solidarity, but her mind raced with uncertainties. She had only just agreed to slowly let him back, and was she ready to handle anything more? She took a deep breath, trying to drown out the storm of insecurities swirling inside her. It's been tough for both of us, Clara admitted, her voice wavering. And now this? It feels like the universe is just throwing more chaos our way. Maybe this chaos is part of the journey, Jason suggested softly. Don't you think it could lead us to some answers? Clara sighed. You're right. We can't avoid it. I should at least see who's reached out to me. She tapped a few buttons, bringing up the contact information. The name sent a jolt through her. It was a former employee, someone who had walked out after the management shake-up months ago. Who is it? Jason asked, his eyes studying her expression as she processed the implications. Alice. She worked here before the trouble started. There was a knot of emotions: confusion, anger, fear that settled in her chest. She left suddenly, and now she wants to talk. Why now, after all this time? Maybe she knows something we don't, Jason replied, his voice steady and calm. Maybe there's more to the bakery's issues than we thought. Clara bit her lip, contemplating her next move, but Jason squeezed her shoulder gently. It's okay to act. It's okay to reach out. We're stronger together. His support made her feel a little braver, but the fear of unraveling old wounds replayed in her mind like an unwanted movie. What if the conversation turned ugly? Especially about the past? I need a moment, she said, stepping back for a moment to gather her thoughts. The hustle and bustle of the evening faded into a soft murmur as Clara focused on the potential fallout. She glanced at Jason, sensing he was waiting patiently, willing to step back into the spaces she kept closed off. Are you with me? She finally asked, forcing the words out as her throat tightened. Always, he said, his voice soothing the frayed edges of her anxiety. Whatever happens next, we take it step by step. With a determined breath, Clara typed a quick reply to Alice, asking when they could meet. Sending the message felt like tossing a stone into a still pond, rippling the surface of her carefully structured life. As the text sent, each notification buzzed with urgency, demanding attention. Clara's heart pounded at the prospect of backtracking through old memories. Would this conversation change everything? Just then, Jason's phone chimed, breaking the silence again. It was another message from an unknown number. Clara glanced at him, curiosity piquing. What does it say? She asked, her pulse quickening. Jason opened it, and his expression shifted from confusion to something darker. It's about the bakery. It says, he hesitated, his face paling. It says things are worse than we think. And that someone's been sabotaging it from within. Panic seized her heart once again. What were they truly up against? Clara, he began, with an intensity that made her body freeze. It's time to dig deeper. We have to find out who is behind this. Clara's mind raced, grappling with the gravity of the newfound threat. Everything felt like it was spiraling out of control. Are we ready for what's coming? She whispered, a sense of foreboding brewing in the air. As Jason looked into her eyes, determination replacing his earlier fear, he nodded slowly. We have to be. But as they turned toward the bakery, the tension thickening the space between them, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that uncovering the truth could lead them to a place neither of them ever expected to go. What had she truly signed up for with this unexpected partnership? With uncertainty swirling just beneath the surface, Clara felt the ground shift under her feet, setting the stage for a tumultuous journey filled with echoes of their past and shadows of an uncertain future. The real battle was only just beginning. Clara's heart raced as they walked toward the bakery, the faded neon sign glowing dimly against the darkening sky. The air felt thick with unspoken fears and unresolved history. Each step pressed deeper into her resolve, but doubt lingered in the corners of her mind. Jason walked beside her, his presence steadying. She could sense his tension, mirroring her own. Neither of them had the slightest idea what awaited them. Suddenly, Clara stopped, panic flickering inside her. What if Alice has come to stir up old grudges? What if she blames me for everything that went wrong? Clara's voice trembled, laced with a mixture of anger and vulnerability. She turned to face Jason, searching his expression for clarity. She might, but we can't avoid the past. Ignoring it won't fix anything, he replied gently, his eyes holding hers like an anchor. The bakery is more than just a business to us. It's our history, and facing it could help us move forward. Taking a shaky breath, Clara rubbed her temples, feeling the tension building there. I know. But what if we're too caught up in sentiment to see the problem clearly? What if this just opens old wounds? Jason stepped closer, his solid presence offering warmth. Sometimes healing hurts, Clara. And the truth can be messy. Just promise me we'll face whatever we find together. No more secrets between us. The way he said it made her chest swell with both fear and relief. She wanted to believe him, yet the shadows from their past whispered doubts. Okay, Clara finally whispered, the word tentative yet somehow liberating. They reached the bakery door, the familiar scent of baked goods wafting through the air, wrapping around them like a hug from an old friend. Clara's fingers grazed the smooth, cool handle before she turned to look at Jason once more. Ready? Always, he affirmed, a flicker of confidence illuminating his face. Clara pushed the door open, its creaking hinges announcing their arrival. The warmth inside enveloped her, and for a brief moment, memories of laughter and late-night baking filled her senses. But the heaviness of uncertainty quickly seeped back in. Alice was seated at one of the small tables near the back, her posture tense, hands gripping a steaming cup as if it were a lifeline. When she saw them, her expression shifted from apprehension to something softer, almost regretful. Clara. Jason, she greeted, her voice steady, yet Clara could sense the years of tension swirling beneath. The three of them formed an unspoken triangle, a web of past and present colliding in awkward silence. Clara saw the way Alice's eyes darted between them, assessing, judging, weighing decades of choices like a scale tipped toward anger. What did you want to talk about? Clara finally found the courage to ask, feeling a knot twist painfully in her stomach. Alice took a deep breath, her gaze steadying on Clara. I wanted to clear the air. It's important. What happened? It wasn't just your fault. Clara's pulse quickened as she processed the words. Was this a prelude to blame? There's more going on than you think, Alice continued, her voice rising above the ambient noise of the bakery. You need to know what I found out before I left. You were always kept in the dark. What do you mean? Jason interjected, his body tense beside Clara. Alice glanced at Jason, recognition flashing in her eyes. I mean, the sabotage is deeper than just petty tricks. The company had its eyes on your bakery for a while. They wanted it gone. Clara felt the world tilt on its axis. But why? Why would anyone want to destroy a bakery? Because it wasn't just a bakery. It was a front cover for something bigger. And someone inside still seems to be on that mission, Alice explained, the urgency in her voice pulling Clara into a whirlpool of fear and confusion. Who? Clara's voice shook, the word barely a whisper. I can't tell you yet, Alice replied, a sad smile crossing her lips. But I have names, and you need to hear them, and prepare yourselves. Jason reached for Clara's hand, squeezing it tightly. She looked from him to Alice, feeling the weight of their situation settle heavily on her shoulders. What could they uncover? Who could they trust? As reality hit, Clara's mind raced with scenarios. Could this really be about to unravel everything they thought they knew? The ringing of Clara's phone broke through her thoughts, jolting her back to the moment. She looked down and saw Alice's expression fade into worry. What if it's them? Alice whispered, fear flickering in her eyes. Each second felt like a lifetime as Clara stared at her phone, every possible outcome pulsating in her chest. Who was on the other end, and what would they reveal? In that instant, Clara stood at a crossroads, ready to leap into the darkness. Would she dare to pull the thread that could unravel all their troubles, or would it bind them tighter to chaos? The question loomed above her like a storm cloud, and Clara knew that whatever the answer was, it could change everything. Clara stood frozen, her mind racing as the phone vibrated in her hand, its buzzing a stark contrast to the growing apprehension in the bakery. Jason's grip tightened around her fingers, grounding her as she stared at the screen. Every pulse of anxiety pushed her closer to a decision. Should I answer? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Yes, Jason urged. Whatever it is, we face it together. His confidence enveloped her like a warm blanket, even in the face of uncertainty. Taking a long, steadying breath, Clara swiped to answer the call. Hello. Clara. It's me, Kevin, the voice on the other end came through, fast and panicked. Kevin. What is going on? Her heart raced, ready for bad news. Kevin was a town council member, a man she trusted, and one who had been a staunch supporter of the bakery. I just found out there's a corporate investor looking to buy out the property, and they're using underhanded tactics. I don't want to alarm you, but you need to be prepared. They're trying to force your hands by threatening the town's funding for essential services if you don't comply, he explained hurriedly. Clara's stomach dropped, the weight of his words settling around her like a heavy fog. Beside her, Jason's expression darkened, and she could see 1,000 thoughts racing through his mind. Who is behind this? Clara asked, the urgency in her voice growing. I can't say just yet. But I can meet with you and discuss everything I know. We might have time to prepare, but you need to be ready, Kevin replied. Tonight? Clara's voice quivered with a mix of fear and determination. Yes, the sooner the better. We need to come up with a plan, he said, and as he spoke, Clara felt the foundation of her resolve solidifying. She glanced at Jason, whose eyes glimmered with fierce purpose. All right, we'll meet you at the bakery in an hour, Clara replied, her tone firm. After Kevin disconnected, the tension in the bakery surged, electrifying the air. Clara turned to look at Alice, who wore a hesitant expression, as if weighing her options. You can help us, Alice, Jason said, stepping forward. What do you know? If we're uncovering a web of deceit, your insights will be crucial. Alice nodded, taking a breath. I was working on the financials at the bakery before I left. I couldn't see it back then, but now I realize a lot of discrepancies favored the corporation. They risked everything to push us out, but I'll help if you'll have me. Absolutely, Clara said, the words bursting forth. We'll rally everyone for a community meeting. People need to know the truth. It was time to embrace the strength of the community that Clara had always believed in. They wouldn't just defend their bakery, they'd stand for the very fabric of their town. Every story shared during our meeting should seep into people's hearts, igniting a fire of protection over what's ours, Jason added, a newfound confidence radiating from him. Clara nodded. Tonight we'll gather support, and we'll tell them they can't take this from us. This bakery is more than bricks and mortar, it's our history, our families. The plan began to form naturally around them like a living entity, pushing back against the shadows threatening to envelop their dreams. Clara felt the crush of challenges lighten slightly as hope surged through her. The hour flew by in a flurry of activity. Clara and Jason raced to put everything in place, organizing their thoughts and gathering supplies. When the doorbell chimed to welcome Kevin, Clara took a deep breath, steadying herself. She knew full well they were about to uncover the truth, but that truth could also send them down dangerous paths. "Thank you for coming so quickly," she said, her voice steady as she gestured him to a seat. "All right, let us dig into it," Kevin said earnestly, his eyes shifting between Clara, Jason, and Alice. As Kevin unfolded the complex web of deceit, Clara listened intently, her heart pounding with anticipation. Each revelation was like a cannonball echoing in her chest. The next few minutes turned into a whirlwind of details, names, and strategies. It became clear to Clara that the bakery was not merely facing an economic threat, it was under siege in a carefully orchestrated plot. "Once we gather enough evidence, we can go public," Kevin concluded. "And we need the community to rally behind you. They will fight with you, but only if they know what is at stake." That fire ignited within her once more. "Let us do it. We'll set a date for our community meeting and share this entire story. They deserve to know." "Tonight is just the beginning," Jason added, a fierce glint in his eye. "Our voices will be heard. We have the chance to turn their corporate takeover into our declaration of resilience." As they wrapped up the discussion, Clara felt a wave of strength flow through her. This wasn't just about saving a bakery, it was about reclaiming a piece of herself, restoring hope for everyone who had walked through the doors. In those moments of shared purpose, Clara realized how far she had come. Her vision of what the bakery represented, family, community, resilience, was stronger than ever. Through every challenge, every secret waiting to be uncovered, they would show the world that love could bloom amid adversity. "All right, it's time to get to work," she said, rising from her seat with newfound vigor. She looked around at Jason and Alice, their determination radiating through the room. This was their moment to unite the town, to rewrite their fate. And so they began. With each passing minute, the small bakery transformed into a hub of strength, resolve, and hope that would fight against the storm threatening to sweep them away. This was just the first step, the beginning of a journey where courage would shine brighter than doubt. The town was ready to rise, and together they would face whatever came their way. But deep down, Clara knew this was not just about saving her bakery. It was about rekindling the spirit of a community that loved fiercely and stood strong against any threat. And in this fight, she would not only reclaim her past, but forge a new future. As she stepped out into the evening air, ready to face the uncertain horizon ahead, Clara's heart was full and her spirit bright. This was more than just a fight, it was the power of love, a testament to the unbreakable bond woven through their lives. Now was the time for action. And in that moment, she felt unstoppable. You need to subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and let us grow together. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending, your support matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation, because this is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.